there is a plausible story you could tell that demand may fall even independent of Fed policy because it had been boosted last year by transfer payments, amongst other things that have stopped, those stimulus checks, for example, the monthly child tax payments, tax credit payments, etc. So consumers may ultimately pull back on some of their spending anyway, but as we've just discussed, their balance sheets look pretty strong. They have a lot of savings. So it looks like they're going to go on spending. They may just shift what they end up spending on.
All right. Catherine Rampell is at the Washington Post. Kate Davidson is at Politico. Thanks so much and have a good weekend.
Thanks. Amy.
The White House is ramping up its warnings about the possibility of a Russian invasion of Ukraine, asking Americans to leave the country within 48 hours. That, along with the anxiety Catherine and Kate and I were just talking about over inflation, weighed on the markets today. We'll have the details when we do the numbers. Some rare moments of bipartisanship on Capitol Hill this week. Yesterday, the Senate passed a bill that will ban mandatory arbitration in cases of sexual assault and harassment. The House passed the bill earlier in the week by an overwhelming margin. Once President Biden signs the bill into law, which the White House says he will do, employers, universities, and other organizations will no longer be able to require people to sign away their right to go to court over allegations of sexual misconduct. Marketplace's Samantha Fields has more.
Forced arbitration clauses are common, especially in workplaces.
Many people sign employment agreements that contain a provision that requires them to arbitrate any dispute that might arise in the context of the relationship.
Catherine Fisk is a professor of labor and employment law at the University of California, Berkeley. Often, she says, when people sign them,
they don't realize they're giving up their right to go to court. This bill makes those kinds of contracts unenforceable.
Arbitration is typically a closed, secretive process. People who go through it aren't allowed to talk about it.
Arbitration has an enormous chilling effect.
Victoria Nurse is a professor at Georgetown Law Center.
The company has a lot of power in setting it up so that if you are not knowledgeable in the law, you may be just dissuaded from bringing the claim.
Ending forced arbitration in cases of sexual harassment and assault is a significant change in labor and employment law, she says.
It's very important, but it's not enough.
That's because the new law will not apply to other kinds of discrimination or harassment claims, says Eric Encarnacion at the University of Texas at Austin School of Law.
So, for example, a claim against the employer for racial discrimination or discrimination on the basis of national origin or a run-of-the-mill contract dispute.
All of those, he says, will still be subject to forced arbitration. I'm Samantha Fields for Marketplace.
There was a while there back in the mid-2010s when it seemed like startups were launching subscription services for pretty much everything. There was ClassPass for workouts, MealPal for restaurant takeout. They're still around, but then there was MoviePass, whose all-you-can-watch movie ticket service failed spectacularly in 2019. Well, it's coming back this summer with a new business model. Marketplace's Kristen Schwab takes a look.
An all-you-can-eat buffet of movie screenings for $10 a month? Sounds too good to be true. And it was, for MoviePass, for theaters, for everyone but moviegoers.
The $10 price point just was never going to work.
Stacy Spikes is CEO. He says this time MoviePass will use dynamic pricing. Customers get a number of credits, and tickets are given different values based on things like showtime. The idea is to get butts into seats during odd hours, and at this point, into theaters, period. Daniel Loria is with the trade publication Box Office Pro.
What MoviePass is doing is basically trying to come in during this period of recovery when people's movie-going habits are being reconfigured.
One problem? The major theaters, Regal, AMC, and Cinemark, have their own subscription services. If they don't opt in, MoviePass will have much less market saturation.
Yes, they can go through independents. Yes, they can go through art houses. But in effect, you'll end up having a regional plan
The industry's still struggling. Paul DeGarabedian, a media analyst at ComScore, says last year's box office sales were 40% of what they were before the pandemic, but he's expecting a recovery with anticipated films coming out this year. So theaters may hold out.
If the movie industry is recovering and it's going to go back to quote-unquote normal, do you really need MoviePass?
Who knows? Sequels sometimes do better than the original. People loved The Godfather, but more Oscars went to The Godfather Part 2. I'm Kristen Schwab for Marketplace.
Coming up.
It has to be cost-effective for the home buyer.
Okay, but somebody's got to pay for it. But first, let's do the numbers. The Dow Jones Industrial Average tumbled 503 points, 1 4/10%, to close at 34,738. The Nasdaq fell 394 points, 2 3/4%, to finish at 13,791, and the S&P 500 shed 85 points, 1 9/10%, to end
Shout
at
out Filipina
44.18.
and Italy.
U.S. officials say they believe Russia could invade Ukraine next
Thank
week.
you.
Such fears have sparked concerns about oil supply and pushed up oil prices. Energy companies rallied. ExxonMobil moved up 2.5%. Chevron grew 2%. Occidental Petroleum gushed up 5 6/10%. Bond prices rose. The yield on the 10-year T-note fell to 1.91%. Back down. You're listening to Marketplace.
Marketplace is supported by Aerospike. Used by some of the world's most recognized digital innovators, Aerospike's real-time data platform is designed to improve customer experiences in the moments that matter. More information is available at aerospike.com. And by Avalara. Avalara has been working to take human error out of the tax compliance process
hindi mo na
using
ako magbabasa.
cloud-based real-time rate calculation and
Dadrive
automatic
ako.
return filing. Avalara. Tax compliance done right. avalara.com. And by Magoosh, helping students with online prep for the
Baka mabunggo ko
GRE,
yung
GMAT, ACT, and SAT since 2009. Designed to help improve scores by allowing students to study at home and access expert support. Prep smart, go far, and enjoy the ride at Magoosh.com.
Your membership is vitally important right now. Start or increase your monthly Evergreen member gift at CPR.org or call our donation line 800-496-1530 and thank you.
CPR is powered by you. Support the news and music right now. You'll be automatically entered to win a 4-night stay in Santa Fe. Enter with or without a gift and see rules and details at CPR.org.
Support comes from Scandinavian Designs, offering a wide selection of modern contemporary furniture. Showrooms in Denver, Westminster, and a new location in Highlands Ranch. Or online at ScandinavianDesigns.com.
This is Marketplace. I'm Amy Scott. I discovered something watching the Olympics this past week. To my kids, growing up in the age of streaming, watching the ads is a rare treat. We disagree on this, so you can imagine the coming fights over the remote this Sunday during the advertising extravaganza known as the Super Bowl. This year, amidst the Budweiser Clydesdales and Paul Rudd and Seth Rogen hawking potato chips, you can expect to see a lot of commercials for a relative newcomer on the very expensive Super Bowl ad scene, crypto. Cryptocurrency exchanges like FTX and Crypto.com have ponied up millions for Super Bowl spots. Not to mention millions more for naming rights to arenas and stadiums. As Marketplace's Matt Levin reports, it's all part of a long game.
What's it going to take to get you to trust crypto? How about a phone call from Tom Brady? In this ad from crypto exchange FTX, Brady rings up a New England bartender to convince him crypto is a good idea.
I'm getting into crypto with FTX. You in?
I believe I'm in, but still hate you.
Understood.
Take it, best of the family.
Is he in?
Yep. That's supermodel Gisele Bundchen, Brady's wife, there at the end. The message Brett Harrison, who heads FTX US, wants you to take away.
We work with people like Tom Brady, Gisele Bundchen, who want to work with companies like ours that are supporting responsible business, operational excellence.
FTX has made athletes and sports advertising the pillar of their marketing strategy. Steph Curry is an endorser. You see their logo all over Major League Baseball.
That's how you can reach tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of people overnight.
Super Bowl ratings tower over the Oscars or what's left of network sitcoms. Plus, the target demographic for crypto has a lot in common with sports fans, says NYU marketing professor Paul Harder.
There is probably some overlap with the betting audience and also the collector's audience.
If you're willing to throw down $100 on the Bengals, maybe you'd be interested in Doge, Aaron Rodgers NFT. Alex Chernev with the Kellogg School of Management says putting your name on an arena also lends your brand credibility.
You have a product like crypto which is intangible, it's very risky. And then you associate with something which is very stable and existing in a physical space.
Chernev says there's not much risk there. After all, the Houston Astros used to play in Enron Field, and it's not like anybody associates that franchise with reckless
Shout out
rule
the
breaking.
Golden Farmers.
I'm Matt
Thank you.
Levin for Marketplace.
Earlier this week, I flew down to Orlando, Florida to visit the International Builders Show. It's a trade show that in the before times drew some 90 to 100,000 people every year from the housing and design industries. Didn't happen last year because of COVID. This year it was back, if a little smaller than usual. And you can probably guess one of the big concerns on a lot of people's minds, the supply chain. So I hit the bar with my microphone and asked some builders what they're having trouble getting their hands on.
Shout out BB Boost Summer, CC.
Haven't been offloaded the
Thank
ship,
you.
and they're just, waiting.
It really started with appliances. Then it moved to windows and doors. Then it moved to trusses. Today, it's ductwork.
It's 28 degrees in Idaho today. I have a house that doesn't have garage doors, so we have a sink that's supposed to be in the garage. Well, it cracked last night because it froze. This is the problem without having garage doors.
That was Tom Stefani from Chicago, Trish Hanchett from Raleigh, North Carolina, and Morgan Fitzgerald of Boise, Idaho. The Builders Show is put on by the National Association of Home Builders, the big trade and lobbying group. During my trip, I sat down with Jerry Howard, CEO
Sinong
of
live
the
CC? Ba't ka
NAHB, to talk
tumatalon?
about the state of the industry. Jerry, thanks for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be
Paglabas
here.
ko
Thanks
kasi
for having me.
snow
we
na.
just heard from some
Kaya nag-live ako agad.
supply chain challenges we hear so much about, but some specific products like communication things like garage doors, windows. How much is that slowing down home building right now?
It obviously varies project to project and even to some extent geographically. But I would say if I had to give
I-off ko na rin to pagdating sa bahay. Pero titingnan ko kung i-off ko siya. Kung tuloy-tuloy pa rin yung isno, pabayaan ko lang siya. Yeah, Golden Farmers, malamig talaga.
That's the extreme and obviously a serious problem.
Wow, 12 months. Is there any relief in sight?
I do not see any relief in the short term.
Salamat, Sisi.
I think that we have a severe labor shortage in America that manifests itself with our construction laborers, but also with truck drivers who then transport.
Magpo-4 na yata, PM. Kasi 3:30 ako lumabas, time out.
The way things used to be.
So, one of the key exhibitions at the show every year is the
come
new American Home, which is an actual home that people go and visit. We're going to visit this afternoon and tour. Is different. It's smaller, a little bit smaller than some of your previous houses, and builders trying to address that when more and more Americans are waking up to the reality of climate change.
Well, the first thing you have to understand is we can make a house that is completely sustainable, completely energy efficient, and would withstand any natural disaster. That house would be unaffordable for an American to live in, and if they could afford it, they wouldn't want to because aesthetically it would look like a concrete bunker. And so there has to be a balance. The second point that I got to make is you could make every new home in every country in the world energy efficient. But if you don't do something about existing housing, It's a drop in the bucket. Remember, new homes are built more sustainably. They are more
Ay,
energy
isang car, oh.
efficient.
Wala na.
Existing
Puno
housing
na rin. Tabo
isn't,
na.
and none of these codes are going to be made to apply to existing homes. We don't think that that's the right way to approach it.
Let's talk about where we build, which has also become
Dark. Dark. Karyon. Karyan. Nag-yellow na. Bukas itong sasakyan ko, ano na yan? Puno na yan bukas. Matabunan na ng isno to. Nilagyan ko ng cover para bukas ano. Cover. Oh, ito yung another car. Yung isa sasakyan namin na ano na, puno na. Ang ganda na. Hindi naman sisi, siguro sanay. Hindi naman sisi nasisira. Siguro sanay, dahil kung masisira na wala nang mga sasakyan ngayon. Wala na lahat. Ito yung exercise. Dito sa labas, sa harap namin, nilagyan ko ng carpet. Oh. Yan, mag-iis na yan. Yung kahoy ko. Yumi, how are you? Hi, baby. How are you, baby? Say hi. Say hi. No? Why not? Oh. Maraming salamat sa inyong lahat, si Sinadit. Farmers, ikaw din yan, di ba? O iba din? I-off ko na sisi. Maraming salamat sa inyong lahat dyan.